Trees for Yesha, the gift that keeps on growing. Planting a tree in Yesha is the perfect way to show you care. For $18 a fruit tree, you can show the Jews of Yesha that you stand together with them in these troubled times. Check out our website at treesforyesha.org.
Shalom and welcome to Israeli Salad. This program is being recorded a few days before the festival of Passover, Pesach. So we'll take a look at some of the preparations for this important festival. Baking matzot, cleaning the kotel, ancient Haggadot, a tour to Nachal Taninim, and more today on a kosher LePesach Israeli Salad. In Exodus Shmot chapter 13, God says about Pesach, unleavened bread shall be eaten throughout the 7 days. The unleavened bread, the matzah, reminds us of the quick departure from Egypt, so quick and sudden that even the dough had no time to rise. The Lubavitch Chabad organization brings children close to the concepts of Pesach by letting them participate in the process of baking matzot. Earlier, I spoke with Mark Kaplan, who visited Kfar Chabad, where this activity was taking place. Hi Mark, what's going on in Kfar Chabad these days before Pesach?
Yoni, as is in most places throughout the world where there's Chabad, there is a matzah factory here for kids. Now this matzah factory actually teaches the kids hands-on how to make matzah. It allows them the chance to work with the dough and make the matzah.
Now Mark, the kids don't actually go home as licensed matzah bakers, right?
Well, education is part of the whole thing here, Yoni, and they teach the kids some of the laws about making matzah. The laws of making matzot are very complex, and obviously the matzah the kids are making here is not kosher LePesach, may not be used for Passover. But the kids nevertheless learn a lot of these laws and learn and practice how they are done. One of the things that's different about this matzah factory is that there is a real matzah factory right next door, where the kids can then afterwards see the matzah being prepared in practice, real matzah. After they tour the matzah bakery, they have a chance to see a performance to further teach about Pesach.
טוב שבאת לבקר אותי בפסח.
אני תמיד שמח לבקר אותך בפסח. תראה, מסתכלים עלינו עכשיו, שלום לכולם. Happy Pesach. I'm an actor, I do a lot of things, but here, you know, it's art from the heart.
ילדים חילונים ודתיים.
Secular children and religious children enjoy the play and learn the laws of Pesach.
It's a very big mitzvah to be together in Passover.
As part of this project, around 20,000 children arrive here each year. The teachers always tell us that the children receive much more during the 2 hours that they're here than during 2 weeks at school. And they reach the festival prepared for what goes on during Pesach.
We wish to see you, maybe if not in this year, maybe next year.
בשנה הבאה, בירושלים הבנויה. צאת ישראל ממצרים.
My advice to anybody who has children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren is to hurry up and take advantage of these matzah factories and take your children to them. Most of your towns have Chabad in them, so go to their matzah factories. Back to you, Yoni.
להתראות ילדים. ביי ביי.
Please send your comments, ideas, and questions to the Israeli Salad email, yoni@israelnn.com, or leave a message on the Israeli Salad voicemail at international dialing code 972-3918-5554. That's 972-3918-5554.
The verse we began our program with continues by saying, "And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee." The leavened products are better known as chametz. Before Pesach, Jews throughout the world clean their homes and businesses from any sign of chametz. The holiest site of Jewish prayer, the Western Wall, the Kotel, must be cleaned for Pesach as well. On the line with me now is Yuval Amar from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation. Shalom, Yuval.
Hi, Yoni.
So, how is the Kotel cleaned for Pesach?
Well, we're using, with the help of the Jerusalem municipality, we're scrubbing the floors of the Western Wall Plaza. We're also hosing down the Western Wall in order to clean it, and we're cleaning also the arcs of the Torah scrolls in the Western Wall Plaza.
Yuval, I understand that you also have to take out the hundreds of notes with prayers that the people leave in the cracks of the Western Wall.
Yeah, we have to take out the notes. It's a procedure that happens twice a year. We collect all the notes in the Western Wall, and we bury them in the Mount of Olives. We bury them. There's a cave over there. We bury all the bags. We treat them with the highest respect, because we know that people come here from miles away, and they write down their deepest and most sincere prayers and hopes and wishes on these notes, and they tuck them in between the kotel stones. So we treat them with the highest respect.
So you bury the notes. Are the notes themselves sacred, or do they serve as a tool and a type of prayer?
It's a type of prayer because we all know that we're commanded to pray. We pray 3 times a day. But besides for that, people can pray all the time whenever they want. So some people think their prayers, some people talk, some people write. So people who came here from many different places, they wanted to have a continuous prayer in the Western Wall. Not only one-time experience to come here and say their prayers.
Okay, now that the Kotel is clean, do you expect many visitors for Pesach?
Well, we expect about 500,000 people to come here to the Western Wall during Pesach. And also, one more thing, it's because of the Western Wall tunnels. The Western Wall tunnels are open to the public free of charge during Chol HaMoed. So it obviously attracts many people to the Western Wall.
Okay, Yuval Amar from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Yoni, and I would just like to wish everyone Pesach Kasher v'Sameach, and to invite you all to come here to the Western Wall during Pesach.
We'll be there. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
You are watching Israeli Salad on Israel National TV.
There's probably no other Jewish family tradition as universal and unique as the Pesach Seder. The Seder ceremony is guided by the Haggadah textbook. I visited a Haggadah exhibition in the Tel Aviv Museum of Art. The Haggadah, in the format we know today, is around 1,200 years old. The Tel Aviv Museum of Art is presenting more than 150 Haggadot that date from the 1300s until our time. The signs leading to the exhibition read Haggadah, not what you'd expect. One of the 10 Commandments prohibits creating statues or any image that could serve as an idol, and so books of Torah generally do not include illustrations and drawings in order to emphasize that the content and the meaning is the sacred part, and not the book itself. However, in the world of Haggadot, illustrations and drawings have become an essential part of the Passover book.
The Passover Haggadot were the first Jewish textbooks that were illustrated, and we have ancient illustrations from the 1300s. It wasn't related to as a holy book, rather a guidebook that must be user-friendly and fun for the children.
The artistic nature of the Haggadot helped promote one of the main ideas of Pesach, telling the story of the redemption from Egypt to the younger generations.
For children who can't read yet, and even for those who can read, the pictures fill the Haggadah with life. This brings together the father and the child, the grandfather and the grandchild. And so, for around 700 years, a tradition of illustrating Haggadot has been developing. Pesach, and especially the Seder night, is a family-oriented event. Here in the Amsterdam Haggadah from 1695, we see the family together looking for chametz. The whole family takes part in this mitzvah. One of the most ancient Haggadot that we know is called the Birdhead Haggadah, and it was created in South Germany in the 1300s. What's interesting is that the artist refrained from illustrating people because of the commandment not to create idols or images, and so he gave the characters bird heads. Many renowned artists were influenced by this Haggadah.
Another ancient Haggadah shows how sometimes the artistic influence comes from an unexpected source. This Serbian Haggadah was owned by a Jewish family in the mid-1300s. A child in the family who learned to write the number 2 saw the Haggadah as an excellent place to practice his writing skills.
Like you could see, he covered it with hundreds of 2s. Years later, artist Aryeh Aruch saw this and decided to create a series of art pieces influenced by this. A series full of the number 2.
On secular kibbutzim, communal settlements, the festival of Passover is related to mainly as a festival of the spring and agriculture, as the religious aspects are put aside.
They would add to their Haggadah a summary of what had happened in their town in the past year. So-and-so cows gave birth, we put up hen houses, there were new babies in the community. Shmuel, Tzila, and Leah and our emissaries abroad are having fun.
One of the important concepts of the Haggadah is Bechol Dor Vador, in each and every generation. As the Haggadah reads, in each and every generation, enemies rise to bring us to our end, and the Almighty saves us from their hands. And, in all generations, it is the duty of man to consider himself as if he had come forth from Egypt. Looking through the collection of Haggadot, you could see how in every generation the story was taught with reference to the events of those days.
Here we see a Haggadah created after the 1967 war. At that time, there was a feeling of euphoria in Israel. You could see a map with all the land on the cover, and many colorful pictures of Beit Lechem, Hebron, Jenin, Shechem, and all of the gates of the old city of Jerusalem. They also have tanks from all kinds. It was obvious that a child must learn of the tanks as part of the Seder. In another case, it's the Russians. Here we have a tank and a fist against the Kremlin, because the Kremlin prevented Jews from emigrating to Israel. In other places, swastikas were inserted to express that when we pray that God take his wrath on his enemies, we want God to shatter the power and the strength of the German Nazi regime.
Near the many historical Haggadot, the museum placed a group of Haggadot that were created in recent years.
Artist Ilya Gefter is currently working on a new Haggadah. When he wants to illustrate that in every generation they rise to destroy us, look what he does. Here's Ramses II, Nebuchadnezzar, Aspasianus, and Hitler. It seems that in the past 10 years a tradition has been developing, especially in Jerusalem, where people dedicate many years to create and illustrate one single Haggadah. And so today we're witnessing a new wave of magnificent Haggadot.
And now back to Jerusalem, Mark Kaplan joined a group of archaeologists and volunteers near a pile of debris that originates from a very important site.
6 years ago, the Waqf Islamic Authority began construction in Solomon's stables on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Israel's Antiquities Authority tried to have the work stop, but their protests went unheeded.
The Islamic Waqf authorities of Temple Mount created an archaeological crime. They dug a huge pit with heavy machinery, with bulldozers, and they moved hundreds of truckloads out from the Temple Mount. After a long fight for a license, I got the license for sifting through this material, and fortunately we were able to move about 70 truckloads of material to this place, which was given to us by the National Parks Authority.
As it turns out, there was an archaeological treasure buried in the debris that the Waqf removed from the holy site. Archaeologists are working against the clock and without funding to save the artifacts that came from the site of Jerusalem's 2 holy temples.
It is all mixed and messed up, and it is comparable to a dead corpse. We cannot resuscitate it, but we can learn something about the conditions that this material had in its lifetime when it was used upon the Temple Mount.
An impressive archaeological crop, ancient coins from different eras with Jewish inscriptions, coins from before the destruction of the temple, and an oil spout from the Hasmonean period
Volunteers are helping uncover the lost objects from between the pieces of the gravel.
This is a wall mosaic, wall tesseract stone.
Of what?
Glass mosaic, glass inlay, and it has remnants of small gold leaf. We get lots of evidence here. It's gathering together to new evidence that probably in the Byzantine period the Temple Mount wasn't a garbage dump like some history books say.
Well, the project is of utmost importance in preserving this ancient treasure, some of which date back to prehistoric times. The project is in danger because of a $60,000 shortfall in funds needed to complete the project. And in the meantime, the group is trying to gather as many volunteers as possible to continue the work.
We are in the process of closing down the project because of lack of funds. He who contributes helps us save historical information about the ancient Jewish history from the most dear point which ever existed in the history of the Jewish people. A second subject that I would ask people is to come and participate with us and volunteer. We'll welcome any participation of any age, any time.
Before we continue with a visit to Nachal Taninim, here's a Pesach greeting that has been going around the internet these days.
Oh, hello, Pharaoh. Listen, the Jews have escaped, okay? So, yeah.
What? That's impossible! Who let the Jews out?
Who? Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out?
Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out? Yes, this greeting has been brought to you by Schlepping Through the Alps, the book everyone will be reading this spring. It's being called Brilliantly Comic. Probably because I'm on the cover. Yeah. Have a happy Passover. Okay? Thank you. Yes. Are we done?
Okay, and now for those who are here in Israel for Pesach, or for those who plan to come to visit, here's a visit to Nachal Taninim, the alligator stream. David Miller was there.
We're here today at the Tananim River Complex and Nature Reserve. Following yesterday's grand opening ceremony and an extensive reconstruction, the complex you see behind me has opened to the general public. First the Romans came and built an aqueduct. Then the Byzantines took over and built a flour mill. And then the Ottoman Turks ran it right up until the beginning of the 20th century. Now it's our turn. Let's take a look.
אותם ילדי השמש, הסירות כולן טבעו, וחבריי כולם נסעו, גשרון העץ שהתמוטט.
We're standing atop the primary mechanism for the Tananim River Complex. Originally built in about 4 BCE at the end of King Herod's reign, it was rediscovered only as recent as 1992 when a very heavy winter rain season prompted its rediscovery. The water was collected in this reservoir down here and controlled by the locks below me. When they were raised, the water would flow down to the residents of Caesarea. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Caesarea became a less important metropolis area. Therefore, all the water that was stored here was not needed. When the Byzantines finally took over, they rerouted the water flow to create a flour mill. So what we're saying here is that nearly 1,600 years before Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake," the Byzantines said, "Let's eat some bread." The discovery of this flour mill was, in terms of archaeology, a big scoop. Why? Because this water wheel system is vertical. Big deal, you say? Well, Systems of this type were not thought to exist until 800 years later, during the Crusades. If you're claustrophobic, this particular part of the tour would probably be a place to avoid. Hand-chiseled tunnels like this were used to channel water all the way out into the reservoir we saw earlier. The problem with this particular tunnel is the elevation. It was too high, and the engineers decided that it was not usable. And now we come to our last stop for the day, the Tananim River itself. The name Tananim in Hebrew means alligator. But relax, we're in no danger here. The last alligators were seen here at the end of the 19th century. The Tananim River is noted as being the cleanest river along the central Mediterranean coast. While the source spring that feeds the river is somewhat salty, it still allows for an abundance of both plant and aquatic life to flourish. So, if you happen to find yourself in the area near Hadera, do yourself a favor and stop in to this complex. You'll be glad you did. Reporting from the Tananim River Reserve for Israeli Salad, I'm David Miller. Be sure to visit the Israeli Salad website. On the Israeli Salad site, scroll through all the editions, see what topics were presented on each program, and simply click on the icon to watch your favorite program. Also, watch all our fantastic music videos featured right here on Israeli Salad. So be sure to click on www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm. That's www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm.
Now here's an academic way to prepare for Pesach. Before the festival, students of the Haifa Technion University held an interesting competition. Students of the robotics department were asked to create robots that will both pour a glass of wine and imitate the crossing of the Sea of Reeds. The days before Pesach are also days of Chesed, as Jews throughout the country help those who don't have the means to celebrate Pesach. Chasdei Naomi is a charity organization that helps people in need. Last year, I joined the volunteers and workers of Chasdei Naomi as they were helping people prepare for Pesach.
A few days before the festival of Pesach, the streets of Bnei Brak are full of people getting ready for the festival. In the middle of all this, the Chasdei Naomi organization put together two stations that are aimed at helping the public in two areas, Hagalat Kelim and Kimcha de Pischa. Hagalat Kelim, the cleaning of utensils, is the procedure utensils must go through in order to become kosher for Pesach. Some utensils must be heated directly by flame, and others must go through hot water.
After we put them in the boiling water, the non-kosher materials are separated from the utensil.
Throughout the cities you can find many Hagalat Kelim stations, but the operators of the stations charge for their service. The head of Chasdei Naomi decided to help the public by offering the Hagalat Kelim service for free.
We have no cash machine here. We don't even suggest that people donate money. There's also an aspect here of bringing people closer to Judaism. When people who are not observant come, we teach them about the importance of this mitzvah. Not everyone has the budget with all the great amount of expenses that are part of the Pesach preparations. This is a great kindness.
Kimcha de Pischa, which means Passover flour, is the term used to refer to the charity campaigns aimed at helping people in need prepare for Pesach. Chasdei Naomi decided to help in this area as well, and to help the families celebrate Pesach with dignity.
Every month we have 2,000 people that we're giving them food, and for Pesach we have 5,000 families that we're taking care, and this is include the fruit, vegetable. We have a box full of food. This include oil, sugar, and all what they need for Passover. Box of meat and shoes, pair of shoes for each child in the family.
Chasdei Naomi's activities are guided by the principle of protecting the dignity of the recipients of the charity.
We send somebody private without no sign on the car. We're giving them the box without nobody knowing. We come knocking on the door and running away. So they won't be embarrassed from the neighbor.
Charity is of course a mitzvah that is relevant all year, but Kimcha de Pischa comes in a time in the year when helping those in need is almost instinctual.
Every Jew feels that if he has what he needs for the Seder meal, he must help others who don't.
And now our weekly insight. Today we'll be discussing the Parsha, the portion of the week of Kedoshim. Shalom to Rabbi David Sampson in Jerusalem.
Shalom Yoni, shalom to all of our viewers around the world.
Rabbi Sampson, the Parsha begins with God saying, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy." How could we understand something like this? Holy, like God?
Yoni, when you asked me this question, I remember a story my uncle told me when he was a young boy. He went to a synagogue in Europe, and there was a Maggid. And the Maggid asked this question for 5 minutes. How can you be holy? Because God demands from us to be holy because He's holy. It's like asking, give charity like Rothschild, because Rothschild gives charity like Rothschild. Well, that's really not a fair request from the Jewish people. And his answer, and the answer of the commentaries, is that apparently if God is asking us to be holy because He's holy, then there's something divine about us, and that we really should be divine because God is divine, because God is not only there, but He is here and very near in our hearts.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Sampson.
The Weekly Insight is brought to you in cooperation with Machon Meir, the largest Zionist institute in Israel, bringing people closer to Judaism.
MK Ariel Eldad is marching through the country in support of the community slated for eviction in Gush Katif and North Shomron. We'll end with pictures of Israeli singer Ariel Zilber, who joined Eldad and expressed solidarity in his unique musical style. And that's all for this week's program. We'll be back after Pesach with more Israeli salad, so be sure to join us again next time. Until then, from all of us here at Israel National News, Shalom and Chag Sameach.
Jewish Response to Missionaries. This is a powerful, new, and complete 18-part digitally remastered CD series or 24-part cassette series with 423 new pages, plus an in-depth study guide by Rabbi Tovia Singer, a must-have for any library collection. This outstanding commentary is available now for only $99 plus shipping and handling. Order online now at www.outreachjudaism.org or call toll-free 1-800-315-JEWS. That's 1-800-315-JEWS.